Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Now, when I first got into Warhammer 4K, I was immediately enamored by the dystopian future setting that is the 41st millennium and the grim-dark nature of it all. The more I learned about the setting, however, the more I realized just how much lore there is to this game, and one of the things that really caught my attention was the lore behind one faction in particular. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the streets of the Underhive in the dystopian future of If you've seen my previous videos, you may have heard me talk about how much I love the atmosphere and the grime and grit of the This love affair with the Underhive actually began before I even knew what Necromunda was. I was looking at some concept art for the Sisters of Battle, specifically this piece here, which has become one of my all-time favorite pieces of artwork from the Warhammer universe. It's an amazing piece, but the more I looked at it, the more I wanted to know about the world that it came from. And so that's when I found out about a hive world set in the grim darkness of the far future, where life is cheap and death is even cheaper. The idea of a hive world had always appealed to me because it's essentially a city planet. And as someone who lives in a city and loves urban fantasy settings, I was immediately hooked. The concept of a city so large that it takes up an entire planet and then some, and the societal structure that comes with it, namely the rigid class system and the poverty, meant that there was a lot of ground for interesting stories to take place. When it comes to setting your games in a dystopian future or a grimdark world, the environment can play a huge role in the story that you're trying to tell. Take, for example, the classic film Blade Runner. The original film and the sequel both take place in a dystopian future, Los Angeles, and the world building is fantastic. You can really feel the decay and the corruption of society just by looking at the environments around you. The same can be said for the world of If you're new to Necromunda, let me give you a brief overview. Necromunda is a hive world, which means that it's a massive city that takes up an entire planet. In this case, the planet is called Necromunda, and it's located in the segmentum or the dark region of the Milky Way galaxy. The world of Necromunda is divided into different levels, with the upper levels being more affluent and the lower levels being more impoverished. The upper levels are known as the Upper Hive, and they're where the rich and powerful live. They're also where most of the industry and commerce is located. The Upper Hive is made up of towering skyscrapers and luxurious apartments, and it's patrolled by the elite forces of the Planetary Defense Force. The middle level is known as the Mid-Hive, and it's where most of the population lives. It's a mix of residential and commercial space, and it's where you'll find most of the planet's infrastructure, such as its hospitals and schools. The Mid-Hive is a dangerous place, though, as it's home to gangs and other criminal elements. Then we have the Underhive, which is the lowest level of the hive world. It's a labyrinth of tunnels and caverns where the poorest of the poor live. The Underhive is a dangerous place, and it's ruled by a number of different gangs and warlords. The Underhive is made up of 3 distinct areas. The first is the Undercity, which is the most densely populated part of the It's a labyrinth of tunnels and caverns where the poorest of the poor live. The Undercity is controlled by a number of different gangs and warlords, and it's a dangerous place to live. The second area of the Underhive is the Rust Sea. This is a vast network of abandoned mines and tunnels that stretched 4 miles beneath the surface of The Rust Sea is home to a number of different creatures, including giant rats and packs of feral dogs. The third area of the Underhive is the Sprawl. This is the outer edge of the Underhive, and it's where the most desperate people live. The Sprawl is a lawless place, and it's home to a number of different gangs and outlaws. As you can see, there's a lot of lore to unpack here, and it's really fascinating stuff. One of the things I love the most about Necromunda is the fact that it's so detailed. There are entire books dedicated to the history of the Underhive and its various gangs. And yet, despite all this detail, there's still a lot of room for creativity. As a GM, I love having a rich, detailed setting to draw from, but I also love the fact that there's still room for me to add my own creative touches. The Underhive is a perfect example of this. While there are plenty of resources available to help me run ultimately it's up to me to decide how it looks and feels. What does the Underhive smell like? What kind of creatures live down there? What are the different levels of the How do the various gangs operate? These are all questions that I need to answer as the GM, and I love the freedom that comes with that. The Underhive is a melting pot of cultures, races, and species. It's a place where humans, orcs, ghouls, and more come together. And it's this diversity that makes the Underhive so interesting. The Underhive is home to a variety of different gangs, and each gang has its own unique culture and way of doing things. There are the Goliath, a gang of ogres who use their massive size and strength to their advantage. Then they are the Escher, a gang of female cyborgs who are deadly fighters and master assassins. And let's not forget about the Delok, a mysterious gang of red men who live in the sewers of the Each of these gangs brings something unique to the table, and it's this diversity that makes the Underhive such a vibrant and exciting setting. It's important to remember that while the Underhive is a dangerous place, it's also home to some truly amazing people. There are people who live in the Underhive who are kind, generous, and helpful. They may not have much materially, but they do have a strong sense of community and a will to survive. The Underhive is a place where people are at their worst, but it's also a place where people are at their best. So if you're thinking about running a game of Necromunda or any other dystopian future setting, I encourage you to think about the environment and how it can affect the story you're trying to tell. The Underhive is a great example of this. It's a place where the worst of humanity comes out to play, but it's also a place where the best of humanity shines through. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, happy gaming!